Well, I think we're already used to the moon, Alice. Market in orbit. What else can we say? Open higher, strong overnight session on Sunday and Monday, resuming. And here we are, folks, trading at new old-time highs and being led by some of the big boys here. We'll discuss what went on over the weekend with DXYZ continuing to soar. We got some analysts coming out saying some pretty impressive things. We got a new guest today, Shana Sissel, Banríon Capital Management. She's going to give us her macro outlook and talk about some individual stocks as well. It's me and Triple D on this Tuesday. Let's get it started right now. Pre-market prep coming right at you.
The volatility right now is really incredible.
Wow, look at that consolidation on the upper right chart.
You know what we've seen this earnings season? Some of these expected moves get even more violent. This is why I have switched my strategy 10 years ago. And if you're chasing, you're in trouble.
All right, let's get started out with our charts from TradeStation. Born to trade, chart, analyze, customize, all in one platform. Trade smarter, move faster, and stay in control with the platform. Built for serious traders and traders integrating AI into their trading. Well, folks, I said it. You see it. We're up nearly 50 handles, 75.40. That's new all-time high territory. The buck pulling back only 21 cents, just consolidating here, trying to make that 99 bid, 98.97 TLT. Well, what do you know? We got a little rally going on here, up 67 cents, 85.35. USO, that's an ugly candle in the red, down 488, 136.04. GLD and SLV, let's call it flat. Bitcoin catching a bid over the weekend. Those Bitcoin futures are up almost 2%. $1,425. It's 77,200. Dennis, did you have a busy work day on Monday? Did you come on and do the show solo?
No, I didn't, unfortunately.
No.
But I always have busy work days, putting in a dock, doing other things. Physical Labor Day. Memorial Day is physical Labor Day. Yeah, we got to get physical. Get
and you golfed.
Going.
And you golfed.
I golfed at the range. I didn't golf on
range.
the course.
And you're crushing the ball.
Yeah, actually, me and the boy tried to get on the one course, but they're really busy, and we just went to the range. Smacked a couple balls. Did do mini golf with them. Did do mini golf there. Yeah, my mini golf game's more to be desired. I'll tell you that much. But
okay. Yeah.
Black flies, bad out there right now. We got black flies. You get those up northern Michigan, black flies? Northern Michigan, you would. Not where you are.
Not here. So let's just get the macro out of the way. We did conduct, not me and Dennis. U.S. did conduct self-defense strikes on Iran as Trump pushes for a peace deal. The military said they conducted self-defense strikes in southern Iran, targeting vessels allegedly trying to deploy mines as missiles launch locations. Trump also urged Arab nations to sign the Abraham Accords. On the other side of the news, we got a deal coming, buddy. We got a deal.
Of course. Deal, no deal, deal, no deal, deal, no deal. So here's the formula for stock market success. Just keep going back and forth between deal and no deal because the stock market rallies on deal news and doesn't rally off when there's no deal. Strikes, market doesn't sell off at all. It doesn't care about strikes because eventually there's going to be a deal. And if you say a deal, the market's going to rally. So just keep doing this in perpetuity, Trump. You may as well because the stock market's going to be we'll be at, 1,000 on SPY and 10,000 or whatever the hell we are and 100,000 on Dow. Might as well just keep doing it in perpetuity. Yep, deal, no deal, deal, no deal. Stock market goes up on the deal and doesn't go down on the no deal. So there's no reason not to keep this pony ride going.
And, a few traders that were thinking in the back of your mind, well, market's looking good. We're at all-time highs. Time to get tough. Maybe get tough over the weekend. Maybe take a little short position home in case, Trump gets super tough. Well, those traders are being punished as well.
Just being short this market, you're getting punished here. I mean, we've been talking about it. in the think tank, and we've talked about it on the show, and it's difficult. I know these valuations are crazy on some stocks, especially these pre-revenue stocks, and you talk about the SpaceX trade, which we continue to trade. But I mean, when the story is hot, valuation doesn't matter at all, and it just continues to go on. This AI theme is not going away, and the SpaceX thing, and I thought that the XYZ might cool off after the S1. It has not at all. It continues to go here. So we're playing it again here now. Why not? I took it long over the weekend again. So Friday night, they have a launch. We'll go right into the space theme because the space theme's just flying and driving stock prices here today. But they have a launch Friday night. Launch goes successfully at 6:30. So I'm like, at 7:30, I'm like, well, I might as well just buy DXYZ after the fact, after the launch here, because the launch went successful. And on Monday, it's going to probably be higher no matter what the S&P does. Here you come in, DXYZ flying again. I sold it last night. I guess you got to stop selling Sunday nights because they just go up more on Monday. I sold last night at around 71. It's 72.72. So the Sunday night trade used to be like overshot, Joel. It used to be like, oh, all these stocks are just up way too much and they'll come back in. They don't. Marvell, I had that long over the weekend as well for the earnings run-up trade, posted in the think tank. And the stock's up 13 points now. I sold it at 204 on Sunday night. It's 209. I mean, they don't care about where the S&P is or anything. They're just buying AI stocks, hardware, anything just flying here. Back to the space theme, we have multiple other stocks flying on the SpaceX. Obviously, we've been talking about this one, SATS. It's flying here this morning. Lunar flying because obviously the landing or the rocket testing on Friday night went well. Planet Labs is another one. PL. Fly Aerospace, which actually presents, thank you, Freehand, for letting us know, 2026 Jefferies Space Virtual Summit. The stories are just hot, hot, hot. Anything to do with space is hot. This is where the market is. We're in full speculation bubble.
Yeah, just a quick run through quick technicals here on the DXYZ trading at new all-time high territory. For those that are curious, that former all-time high that was made not too long ago. Let me put it up here. This was 71.24. And it got there at the end of last week, but in the pre-market trading, you've exceeded that. So 71.24, still comfortably above that. I don't know if how good a support I want to call that, but that's a level to keep in mind. And then in the overnight trading so far, 73.80 is could be your target on the upside. Pretty good volume. So that's where they've traded in the regular session on pullbacks. Boy, yes, you may see the top of Friday's range if you're looking for a little gap fill. That wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities. That comes in at 70.70. So there's your number. Let's take a look at Fly.
Before you leave the XYZ,
yes,
because this has just been, such a story here now. What I underestimated was that there just wasn't that many people that knew about this stock. There wasn't that many people that were following this company and that obviously invest in private companies there. And we were all over this last 2 months, 27, 30, 32, 35, 40. And it's just, we were saying this is the way to play SpaceX. This is the way to play SpaceX. There's not that many ways, public ways to play SpaceX. Now, they're finding the other ways, but this company actually, is owns share. It's almost 30% of the fund here now. So, I mean, this has been the way that they've been playing it here. And I think I just underestimated that nobody really knew about it. And then after the S1, people started really talking about it. And now it's really blasted off. So we're almost too early on this trade. I mean, we did fantastic. It's my biggest winner of the year. And now I'm continuing to trade it. But I mean, if we're going to just keep running into the IPO here, I don't see a reason to, get bearish on this thing. Like, I mean, yeah, it's trading significantly above NAV here now and the bubble's going, but what else isn't going? I mean, as the stories get hot, the bubbles just keep inflating here. So until we actually see a rug pull in the NASDAQ and a rug pull in the S&P, and maybe it's a rug pull, from the war or something, but that doesn't appear to be happening here either, it's hard to get bearish these themes, especially with the IPO coming up here now. So I think I continue to buy dips on DXYZ.
Didn't they do, last time it got back up in this territory, didn't it do an offering? Remember when I think it knocked it down in this area? I'm not sure.
Yeah, they did. No,
Yeah.
71, that knocked it down. And then they had the Anthropic thing on
Yes.
whether they were going to be allowing these special purpose vehicles to own shares, because that's how they own it, is through these special purpose vehicles, these SPVs. We never got any clarity on that. But the market forgets after 2 days and, is not worried about that. But I mean, this is a way to play Anthropic too. They're in all the right places. We don't know the structure of it. It's exactly perfectly structured here because of, what Anthropic, they put out that clarification piece saying they were going to challenge SPVs. But what we do know overall is the theme is just hot and investors don't care about details. They just care about story.
And they don't care about the Pentagon sparring with SpaceX over the Starlink price hike during the Iran war. Let's just finish up these stocks, taking a look at Fly. Traded up 443 here, trading at new all-time high. This one, maybe you got your best price at 4:30 in the morning, hit 55.48. That's only $1.50 away. And then the last two stocks, Lunar. I'm sure the chart will look very similar here in Lunar. Trading. I don't know if this is a new all-time high for Lunar.
I think
it is. This is bunch up. This is still at the highs of the pre-market session. 42.73, just traded 42.60. So if you put an offer out there, you may be the only one. And then PL, when I looked it up, it was up 8%. Well, now it's up 9.23%, and that caught a high at 48.81. So there's and quite a few highs in the 48 handle. So someone's sniffing around in the 48 handle to sell. But we'll see what happens when the liquidity comes in at 9:30. See if they want to take some profits in the.
Before we leave this theme, because it's so hot, we just want to mention again the 2026 Jeffrey Space Virtual Summit is on here today. And yes, in the chat here, they're talking about this. Tiny Pie's talking about this as well. YSS is presenting at this conference as well, or the summit. It's a summit. And that stock is up 10% here this morning too. So, I mean, just being long stocks ahead of events. I know it's simplistic trading, but it just works, man. Like it's, and that's what it is. And YSS and Fly both presenting today. They're both up huge. People are like excited about anything to do with space. So what you need is a good story. You get a conference and stocks go higher. And that's exactly what's happening here this morning. YSS moving up another 10% here. Like, do you want to fade this? No, I'm like, people are talking about short the market still. I'm scared to death to short this market. I mean, what's the catalyst? Like, unless you just think it's all going to blow up and, valuations are going to all of a sudden matter, which can happen. But until we get a day where they actually show some fear, it's hard to just all of a sudden pack up and say, yep, it's gone far enough and this market's eventually going to crash. I know people are talking about Andrew Sorkin saying the market's eventually going to crash. Of course, it always eventually crashes, but then it comes back. So it's hard to sit here, when we're going up, when there's bombs going off and missiles going off in the strait and the market's still rallying and oil selling off on this. It's hard to be bearish. You have a president of the United States of America. Just stop and write this down. U.S. president wants stocks to go higher. He's the president. He is doing everything in his power to get stocks to go higher. He, grades himself on the stock market. So if he wants the stock market to go higher, he's going to do everything in his power to get it to go higher. You are literally to say don't fight the Fed, don't fight the president. He's just pumping stocks. He literally cheerleads them. He's taking position. They're taking positions. He's trading. I mean, you're talking about 3,500 trades. We've never seen any of this before, but this is where we are. This is a stock market president. Write that down. This is a stock market president. He's going to do everything in his power to get it to go higher. It is hard to be bearish. Eventually, there's going to be a rug pull for sure. Maybe after this segment, we're going to have a rug pull. Something's going to happen. But what we keep seeing is buy the dip just reemerges and comes back in. There are so many money managers with too much cash. The bubble keeps inflating. Hard to be bearish.
Yeah, why don't we just do, I'm sure I don't even need to look. Let's just follow up on some of these quantum stocks. IBM.
Oh, gone.
Yep.
He takes positions in these stocks, and they don't stop. And you know what? We saw what happened with Intel. It still hasn't stopped. I mean, Intel gets bloody downgraded today. It got downgraded today. Yes, Northland downgrades Intel today. Stock goes up another 1.43% anyways. We're in such a bull market that they don't even care about downgrades anymore. Not that Northland's huge, but it's boutique. You'd think, maybe it gives it a little bit of a pause. No. Like usually on the initial downgrade, you'll see the stocks go down. The market's just ignoring downgrades. This market is so bulled up.
Silly town.
It is a little bit. And we always say sell your peanuts while the circus is in town. But I mean, this circus doesn't appear to be leaving town anytime soon. I'm trying to see the catalyst for it to leave. This is incredible. We're seeing just historic moves here.
QBTS D-Wave Quantum, just another that's flat. That's up only 7 cents. Who else do we throw in here? Quantum, right? No, that's biopharma. Who else do we lump into this? We got QBTS.
The quantum stocks, is all kinds of them now. They keep getting more of them. We're going to get Honeywell's coming out. Honeywell's going to spin off a quantum stock here. So don't forget about Honeywell as well. But RGTI.
That's right.
IONQ, QBTS, QUBT, which has kind of been a laggard. There's INFQ, which I'm long that, my long-term portfolio there, INFQ. There's, and then, some smaller plays as well, like ARQQ, some smaller quantum stocks, but they start to go too. And then people aren't even talking about the smaller ones. And then IBM obviously says quantum business, but, it's really been the consulting business that's brought the stock down. But now people are focused on the quantum because of Trump. Again, it's like Trump turns the stocks around. There's no better catalyst than Trump talking about your stock. So whatever he talks about next, you just blindly chase on it. And it's working.
Playing Honeywell into that.
Honeywell's going to spin off Quantinium. I never say these names right. Quantinium. It's going to be QNT. We think it's going to spin off on. Is this going to be an IPO? This is going to be an IPO.
Yep.
They're going to actually come out. Quantinium, $12.7 billion, QNT, and that's stock. I mean, there's another quantum stock. Does Honeywell start to get kickstarted ahead of this? Probably. I wouldn't want to be short Honeywell either. It's up $3 today.
It just finishing up on our space talk here is regarding the Jeffrey Space Virtual Summit today. There's one stock that doesn't get as much attention. We don't talk about it as much, but BKSY, Black Sky Technology. But they only have a fireside chat, so they're not.
But it says something today too. That's enough right now. It's enough to get people excited here. So this is the theme here. Markets up in orbit. It's out in outer space. The puns can come from everywhere to infinity and beyond. Whatever you want to use, because this market just continues to fly here. We also have a robotics conference here too. Fee was saying about that's tomorrow, I believe, if I'm correct here. I don't know if you have anything on that robotics conference. There was supposed to be a few companies that are talking and presenting there as well. So I'm just trying to grab that too here. Fee, if you've got that, who's presenting at that as well? I know you were talking about it in the pre-market show, but if you've got that robotics conference there, he's just digging up here for us right now. I mean, these themes continue to move stocks. So this robotics conference, I'm not even sure what the name of it is. BB, I believe. Its keynote is going to be presented, I believe, by a private company here. But BlackBerry is going to be presenting at this robotics conference here. And BlackBerry is blasting off here too. So blast from the past, full speculation bubble happening here. BlackBerry, the failed cell phone company, is now, I don't know if it's patents or what it is there, but it's moving here too. Also, apparently NXPI is going to be presenting later this week as well. So many presentations, and it's always good news at these conferences. That's the thing. The thing about an earnings report is good news or bad news. At this conference here, it almost always seems like it's good news.
Why would you go to a conference and get bad news?
Especially in this market. I'm just going to sit this one out. Now, we got some good things to say. We go and present at the conference. That's pretty much what it is. We're going to go present this conference. We're going to say really bad news there. It just doesn't happen.
All right. You want to stay on the tech theme here?
Yeah, I do with Oklo. I'm going to stick right here. And this morning, we've got a big move here happening in Oklo. 8 o'clock news broke right when we were starting the show. Oklo is selected by the U.S. Department of Energy, what you want to see, for advanced negotiations under surplus plutonium utilization program. Oklo, yeah. So if we go into the details of it here, it's a whole long thing. I'm not going to read it all here, but all just need is a headline: Department of Energy kickstart the stock. Oklo's kind of been in the gutter. It's been a stock that's wanted a catalyst here for a bit. Getting one here this morning. We've been talking about energy stocks lagging. They have.
Did Dennis? I think Dennis just froze there for a second. Huh. Dennis is lagging here. All right. Well, we'll have to get Dennis back in here. We'll just talk about the price action here in Aklo. Exploded, and he's over $74. And we are looking actually on a 15-minute chart here, 74 and a quarter, 74.22. We hit that, so maybe there's some 74 sellers here. Pretty good volume being traded there. So keep an eye on Aklo. As far as daily levels. You don't have much in there. You have you had a daily high at 73.40. So if you're playing a little bit closer to the belt, that was your high on May 13th, and then 76.68. So take a look at Aklo, and then we also could take a look at some of these other energies. Dennis is attempting to re-enter the studio, but Aklo, what are some of the stocks like we look at with Aklo? Our energy stocks, VRT, Vertiv Holdings. What else? Let me pull up my map here, and I will get to it. Oh, Dennis is there, and then he isn't there. But let me know. Let me know if you have any stocks trading with Aklo that you want to take a look at. But there's your catalyst in that sector. All right, Dennis is trying to re-enter the studio here. Hopefully, we'll get him back soon. Did get some questions over the weekend about NVIDIA as far as its post-earnings reaction, and just wanted to discuss a couple quick things here on NVIDIA. So far, not being treated well at all post-earnings. But bouncing back a little bit today, made actually a new post-earnings low move. But they're talking about their forecast rumblings about the $200 billion CPU market for China. They're talking about a structural shift. He was speaking over in Taipei on Saturday and asked if the forecast included China, and he would say he would think so. So he's pretty positive about that. Also, Barron's was talking about it and how Jensen, need to shift the narrative a little bit from the from the earnings, and you're getting away from like all the big data centers, so they're going to separate that income. So we'll see. We got to bounce. What we'll be looking for here in NVIDIA, since you did make the old time high 215.33, we'll be looking for a comeback on that. Just going back to the energy theme, CEG. This one has been ignored. Constellation Energy Group getting a little bit of a bump today, but this one has been the laggard.
They all look the same, Joel, so I would not say that, actually. I know BE has been like the Bloom Energy. I don't know what the hell happened with my internet there. My internet's fine on every computer except this one. Bloom Energy's been, unbelievable, but, you start going through all these, like, nuclear themes. Like, look at Aklo, CEG, VST. Look at those charts. Look at those dailies. They all look the same. They've all, we forgot about energy for a bit here. Like me in the last, look at the last 2 months. You've had this little V thing going on. They were selling energy, selling nuclear, and then they just beat them, like right here in the last week. So they've just started picking up. Just the nuclear theme and the energy theme has just started picking up in the last week. So I'm not sure if I can't remember 3 days ago what was said, but they've all turned around 3 days ago, and they're all starting to move here now. So this theme is starting to get hot.
Okay. All right. Lilly, busy over the weekend, and they buy a trio. They're putting their money to work. They
every weekend.
Yep.
They buy a company every weekend. Or
Eli
three.
Lilly to buy Cuervo for up to $1.5 billion. Limatech for $780 million. And I think another company, vaccine company here for $1.55 billion. They're not being punished for spending this kind of money here, trading up in the pre-market session.
I mean, these are all drops in the market. Think of these as little lottery tickets. So we got to think about size. So right away, when you see a company that's is it worth $1 trillion yet? I don't know where it is. Worth $1 trillion market cap? Probably close. Let me go look it up. I don't even trust looking anything up on this computer. I'm going to lose internet again. Let's look here. Yeah. So $951 billion company. So right away, when you see mergers for 1 billion, 1.5 billion, market don't give a crap. But it likes the idea. Think of all of these little companies as lottery tickets for them. So they're just going out every weekend and buying scratch off lottery tickets by buying these little companies. Eventually, they're going to hit on one. So, I mean, it's kind of smart. When you have a valuation through the roof, and your valuation's trading 2 to 3 times as much as your peers, which Lilly was at one time, it's starting to grow into it a bit. But still, 35 times. You got lots of drug companies trading 12, 13, 14 times because this market doesn't like drugs. It likes a sexy space story. But I mean, when you've got Lilly sitting up here, at very high valuations, this is what it wants. They want growth from anywhere, and so they just keep buying the growth lottery tickets, scratch off, and they're doing 3 more this weekend. So don't expect the stock to go get hit when a $950 billion company is buying a $1 billion company. There's no impact whatsoever. And they kind of like the idea of Lilly every weekend just buying these smaller companies up because they think eventually they're going to hit on another one. And it's maybe not a bad play for them.
I mean, they got the cash, right? They're making the money for themselves. So, so there you go. Smaller companies taking a little bit of a shot. One turns out. I've older several, and it'll be
that's it.
Companies. Yep.
Yeah, it's like call options on all these stocks. That's it.
Dennis, did you catch any of the Indy 500 on Sunday? Did anybody? I mean, I'm not a huge car racing fan, but I always like to catch that. It was the closest finish in the history of the race.
Oh, cool.
0.02 seconds. And this guy to win it, Rosenquist, made a move in the final turn. You know how they try, zigzag and keep cutting, So he anticipated. He cut right behind them, and it was unbelievable. It was so exciting. So just wanted to mention that, but I want to mention Ferrari because they don't like what they unveiled here. This stock has been
EV.
Yeah, it's been has been in an extended downtrend. They come up with their EV and just not sexy here. So that's traded now down nearly $10, down $9.55. Not a lot of support in here. If you're trading this stock, there's a pair of lows at the 329 area. That's another $10 lower. But Ferrari race. RACE taking a hit today.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about this one. Obviously, this trades overseas, so it's already actively trading. So when we come in, and you see a European company trading, it's already priced. It's already been trading since 3 o'clock this morning. So it's like the market's open there. That's why you see, the market moving up here and the bids move up, the offers move up, because if you don't understand how it works, the high frequency traders over here are just following the price of what it's trading overseas. So they'll give you a 38.88 bid, they'll give you a 39.04 offer because the price of 38.96, you get the bid, they can make the arbitrage and make the nickel off you. So it's just sitting here with a 10, 12 cent spread to make the nickel off you, which is fine. I like the liquidity that they provide. But, don't expect like the huge move all of a sudden at the 9:30 open because the stock is already open. So obviously they don't like the news. Stock is trading down. I mean, is this the sexy theme we're looking for? Ooh, a nice new EV from Ferrari. This market doesn't care about EVs. Will it eventually? I mean, this is a good conversation in itself because with gas prices probably not going down for the foreseeable future and being higher, you would think like this market would start to gravitate to EV plays. Like I know, my brother-in-law was talking about maybe we got to go buy, the gas prices the way they are. They think their next vehicle is going to be an electric vehicle. I mean, I think that thought process has got to be there. I mean, if gas prices stay elevated, and maybe people don't think they're going to stay elevated, but I think they are, you'd think a lot of the EV movement should start to happen here. And I mean, obviously Tesla benefits from that, but there's so many other, smaller companies that benefit from it too. I mean, like a Rivian. Rivian's been in the gutter, no love whatsoever. We were in this stock, and then, I changed my mind because I was worried about, like jobs, and I'm worried about if you're losing your job over at Facebook or Meta or Square, you're going out and buying a Rivian right away, a high expensive car. I just didn't know if it was the time for it, and maybe it's still not the time for it, but the EV, the higher gas prices have got to be helping these companies, I would think, at least eventually.
Yeah, let's just take a quick look at Ford catch it, man. Ford has become.
Well, and Ford moved away from EVs, so it's not
Yes.
even. But they're trying to get this whole story, this battery play now. They're trying to change their narrative. Like they couldn't do it. We make a pile of money. Nobody cares. We make a pile of money. They care about a good, sexy story. So now all of a sudden, people are looking at Ford as like the battery play. Oh, well, now we like it more. 15's huge.
Yeah, what did we do? Did we sneak above 15 on Friday?
Nah, we kissed up to it. I got to think there's got to be some size up there at 15.
Yeah, 1495 was your high, and you backed out. You closed at 1493. Might take a day or two to plow through that. You also got up to this area a few days ago on its initial run, 1495, and then I remember going back and looking on the weeklies here. Wow, it hasn't been back up at this area. Ran into problems back in July of 24. An underperforming stock, but a lower price stock now with a story. And we'll see if the story can continue it through that important institutional size. Paper at $15.
All right. 3 minutes here. Guess going to be coming on here in the background, but there's a lot of other themes this week. And I don't know, if you've got your calendar, but I wouldn't mind doing a little bit of earnings preview here too, because you think we're out of earnings season, but we're never out of earnings season here. Just because we're past NVIDIA doesn't mean we don't have some big earnings coming. Tonight, we're going to get Zscaler. We're going to get Box. We're going to get also SQM, which is a lithium play here. But Wednesday is the big day. So not so much Wednesday morning, a couple retailers, Abercrombie and Fitch and Dick's, but Wednesday night is going to be interesting. CRM, Snowflake, Marvell, probably one of the headliners for the weekend, running up. And again, I'm long it through the weekend. Why do I go long on the weekend? Oh, I like the chart. No, because it reports earnings next week, and everybody's going to be talking about this week. So, that's why, I was long Marvell. Agilent also reports along Agilent because of the earnings as well. I'll be selling those trades today. And then the other one, HPQ on Wednesday. And this one we've been all over here in the STN think tank too. I mean, I'm just on fire in there. I'm going to pat myself on the back. But HPQ's exploded here now.
Yes.
And again, I've been saying this is a sleepy hardware play. Like sleepy. If people are like going to start getting really into agentic AI, and there's a note on Apple here today. I mean, some people like their PCs. I like my PCs. And, that's going to be a play on it too. Yes, it's printing, but this is also a company that's trading 10 times earnings with a 5% dividend. And all of a sudden, it's starting to be seen, oh, yeah, HPQ's it's a sneaky hardware play. Because I say it's sneaky because we all know it's hardware, but it's just nobody's interested in it. But all of a sudden, HPQ is showing some life. So don't call it a breakout, but that's a breakout.
It was some. Oh no, I think he took a stake. Elliot, I think he took a stake at was it HPQ or HPE? I thought I saw that. HPE is trading up too. That's trading, but that's a little bit different, Dennis. I know you like the HPQ.
Well, now that HPE's already been on everybody's radar. So,
yeah.
I mean, HPE is in there as a data center play. It's in there with Dell. It's tied in with those. So it's always been moving too. But HPQ hasn't been moving. People ask, great question. Why do you need Sleepy? Why not just go and chase the leaders? Why not just go buy Micron, just goes up 50 points every day? You know what? It's been doing that. I mean, I have another note on Micron here, which is pivot over here. Micron this morning we get, and, I'm just going to go on a quick tangent here. UBS raising the price target from, I'm not kidding you here, from $535 to $1,625. So they are tripling their price target on the stock. They say, screw the seasonality or cyclicality of this business. This business is just going. They're trying to compare it to NVIDIA and giving it a multiple up there. I mean, obviously, they've never read about cyclicality of businesses and when you're a commodity or price taker. But I mean, if memory bottleneck continues, they may end up being right anyways. So Micron continues to go. But why sleepy? Why go for the sleepy plays here? Because, we go into different types of markets where sleepy, where you have like everything's been running. I mean, Micron's went from $300 to $850. A lot of risk here. There could be a rug pull. It could pull 200 points down like it did a couple weeks ago. HPQ didn't have that kind of risk. It's just sitting there basing. So, I mean, it's all about risk reward. So in this market, nobody gives a shit, I'm going to say it, about risk, because everybody's just being rewarded for taking excessive risk. But still, trading is risk reward. So when stocks are running 200, 300, 400 points, going up 1,000%, like SanDisk has in the last 4 or 5 months, there's risk. There's a lot of risk. There can be a rug pull and it can be really violent. When you have stocks that are basing and just getting, that's where you can put on bigger positions because the risk is lower. So that's why we like sometimes sleepy plays that are perking up, because it's controlled risk, defined risk, Joel. You talk about that all the time. Joel's silent. Did I lose?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
Micron, I just wanted to look at the mic. Is that the street high? Street high target here? Wow, this is trading 810.59. Interesting area over 800. You did see profit takers over 800 on 3 consecutive days, and those highs were 812. Oh, right here, right now, 812 even. 814.96 were consecutive highs on May 13th and May 14th. The all-time high is 818.67. And then your all-time closing high, let me zero in on that, has a good chance to do that. It's only closed over 800 on one occasion. That was on May 13th, where it closed at 803.63. We have to take a look at some other stocks that are trading here. SanDisk trading up 1,600 up there. It's its all-time high. Western Digital also getting a boost from this, trading up $16. So getting a boost, getting a help. Once again, Marvell, we talked about that, trading up $15 in a new all-time high.
The moves in these stocks are so astounding. And I mean, we can be all bulled up and continue to listen to the show, because I'm a trader. And you know what? Eventually there will be a rug pull here again. And then you got to play cautious for maybe a couple days, only in a couple days. These dips, these little bear markets we have in these stocks last 2 or 3 days because they're so bulled up here. That doesn't mean, it's going to just continue in perpetuity here too. So just because, we're rah bull here this morning, that can change. And I mean, that's why we got the think tank, because we're trying to get the switches and the turns on the fly. So right now, market is all bulled up. There will be rug pulls again. Don't kid yourself here. But right now, the bulls are in complete control. And sometimes when they're in complete control, that's when the rug pull happens. So keep an eye, though. I'm not calling for a rug pull here today. I'm still riding the pony ride, but we're always ready and we're always playing cautious. Stock market and trading is still about risk reward. And you've got to assess the risk always and always be ready to flip, and not sometimes just, flip long, man, sometimes to flip short. But right now, at this point in time, bulls in control.
All right, folks, we got a new guest coming to the stage. Let's roll that intro. Good morning. Joining us is Shana Sissel. She's CEO of Banríon Capital Management, coming to the stage on pre-market prep. Shana, how you doing today?
I am doing okay. Just want to apologize to all of the viewers. My dogs are barking, and I didn't get a chance to let them out before we went live. So if you hear a dog barking in the background, that is my idiot dogs. So
well, this is the theme, though, Shana. This is okay because the dogs are all starting to bark. Like Blackberry, which has been a dog for a while, starting to bark. This could be the theme here. We're starting to see all stocks start to go up in this market here. So dogs barking's a good thing here. That's the bulls are in full control here.
All right. Well, then I guess I'm with the theme.
All right. So let's you do have some individual stocks that you want to cover, and we'll get that towards the end. But first, I had the pleasure of speaking to you in the think tank too. And you've learned the markets from some pretty interesting people. I just wanted you to share that with our listening audience.
Sure. So I've been in the business for 25 plus years now. And I started my career at Morgan Stanley and then spent the bulk of my career at Fidelity, and had the chance to work with some relative legends, if you will. Had the chance to work with Will Danoff, had the chance to work with John Rogers over at Ariel Investments. And I've worked with some of the most legendary investors that have impacted markets from the 90s onwards. And that's really been a key driver to how I approach markets. I would say the one key that they all had in common was this idea of buying what you know and really understanding the underlying names of the stocks. And then, I know we mentioned this the last time, but I am in the process of writing a book. Actually, I wrote the book. It comes out in November. And one of the key things in the book is that everybody, whether you're an investment professional like myself or not, has the ability to be a good stock picker by simply understanding what they innately have competence in and expertise in, even if it's outside of investing. So if you're a doctor, you would understand biotech stocks and other healthcare stocks better than even the professionals. So these are kind of themes that I talk about all the time when I talk to people about investing.
All right, great. So let's talk about the broad markets here and fearing inflation. Well, we're not really too worried about that. And then a little talk of fearing recession, but really not much talk about that. People, some of those retail earnings, people are still spending. Are you seeing any signals out there that maybe we are coming into any kind of economic slowdown and maybe time to just portfolios in that fashion?
Well, the key one that I think is most notable is the split between consumer confidence and consumer sentiment. They're two different metrics, and they have diverged in recent months, which is highly unusual. So there's some concern, and we're seeing that anecdotally with different comments from in earnings calls. But there is some feeling that spending is going down and sort of suddenly. And that in particular is something that I would pay attention to because the US consumer really does drive the global economy. Other than that, I would say that your comment on inflation is interesting. I do think inflation will impact the markets more than people are anticipating. I do believe it'll be higher for longer. And I do believe with the new Fed chair, we're not quite sure how he intends to handle the inflation problem.
All right. Oil prices. The Iranian conflict has pushed up oil prices, trading back down today. That's having, an impact on treasury yields and market expectations here. What do you think is the biggest risk out there right now? The energy market or the bond market?
That's an interesting question. I don't know that I've spent that much time thinking about either of those things. In relation to each other, but I actually do think it's probably the oil prices, which I think the bond prices can be a little more predictable because the Fed has more impact on where they can go and has some levers they can pull. Whereas when it comes to oil, it is a supply and demand problem, and we don't have control over the Strait of Hormuz, which is really what's driving oil prices right now because it does affect supply. And there's no easy, quick way to switch off and on demand and when it comes to oil. So for me, I would be more concerned about oil prices right now and the volatility there.
Okay. All right. Corporate earnings 2026 estimates coming in, beating estimates, raising some of the estimates. We're seeing it in AI, energy and AI related spending, but we are seeing some weaker guidance from some companies here. The big boys are leading us. They're beating, raising a lot, spending a lot of money. Do you think investors are maybe underestimating weaker guidance from some of these, lower tier companies or non-tech companies?
I don't think that they're underestimating it. They're just not investing in those stocks to begin with. We've seen that the equal weighted S&P has been underperforming the market cap weighted S&P for quite some time. So what you're describing, that phenomenon, is not new, and it's something we've been seeing for a while. I think what you should be concerned about is how long the mega caps can continue to drive the markets if the rest of the market is not being lifted. The rising tides lifts all ships. That's kind of what's been happening, but it can't happen forever. So That is a concern. And I've said this before, but I do think the fact that these mega cap AI names are driving current market, and that's kind of been the best trend, is notable and important. But keep in mind that if we cannot find a way to monetize AI, so the smaller companies, the folks that are demanding these inputs to create these AI tools, they have to find a way to monetize, right? And at this very moment, there is no ability to monetize that. And so subsequently, if that doesn't happen in, say, the next 12 to 18 months, it may impact the demand that's been driving those mega caps. So it's just something to keep an eye on, is that monetization of AI to the consumer, whether it be through services or goods, needs to happen in a meaningful way across the board, across industries, for continued demand for AI inputs and other items related to that, in order for the earnings to continue to be growing with the kind of momentum that they have been.
It's a great point you're making. And, we have people in the chat here ask me all the time. They're like, well, we hear about AI, yeah, you have these chat bots, but what have they really created? What have we really seen new? And I keep saying, and I'm firmly have drank the Kool-Aid, and I think there's some stuff coming. I think we're going to be blown away by new products, and maybe not so much 2026, but 2027 though. There's red tape and stuff. What is Apple working on? What is Meta working on? What are these companies working on behind the scenes? Because we know Apple's super secretive here. And you see a stock like Apple breaking out to new all-time highs, and you're like, can they just keep milking iPhone, or are they cooking up something in the background here? What are your thoughts here on, can they, get to, where AI is building us new products and monetizing all of a sudden? They need to do it. I agree with you, in the next 12 to 18 months. What are your thoughts that they actually do it?
That's where I might not be as convinced as you are. It's not that I don't think there's opportunity and there's not things that can be done. I'll give you a perfect example.
Sure.
So Anthropic and Claude, right? I actually do, as a company, spend a lot of money for a subscription to Claude Code, and Claude Cowork, because it has changed our lives. We have done a lot of coding for our platform through Claude Code, and it has saved us substantial money on developers. So that is an example of monetization of AI, but it's coming at the source, like Anthropic, and that's kind of what you would expect, the people who write the chatbots and so on. But there has to be a way to take it even further. I think the most likely places, you're talking about Apple, you're talking about Meta, those are tech companies, right? It needs to permeate to other industries. I think the first place that AI is likely to be implemented in a way that's meaningful is probably healthcare. But it can be used in consumers to recognize buying patterns, to customize and personalize consumer suggestions of purchases. Can be used in a variety of ways. I'd like to see it permeate outside of technology related companies. We know Apple, we know Meta. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about other industries that don't innately seem like tech companies need to find ways to use and monetize AI. That's what I'm referring to. I think everybody knows that they have to. Whether or not they will is my bigger concern, because only so much can come from the tech companies. Plus, to your point with Apple, if they use it to improve the experience, the user experience for Siri, that's fine, except that how do they monetize it more than they already have? The example there would be that people would upgrade their iPhone or the iOS in order to take advantage of the new improvements to Siri. But what's the additional monetization there?
Let's move on to a couple stocks that you follow very closely, and we'll start out with the really good Marvell Tech here, busting out again today to new all-time highs. Do you have targets on this, or is this one you're just keeping forever? Talk to us a little bit. It's due to report this week, and I don't know if you trade around earnings reports at all or not, but tell us what initially attracted to your company and your long-term plan.
Yeah, so Marvell is a company I've followed for a very long time. Actually, what initially attracted me to it is something we started this conversation talking about. One of the portfolio managers that I talk to often and I exchange ideas with, Tom Allen over at Fidelity, and I talked about Marvell probably 6, 7 years ago. Sorry for all of you that have young children. I didn't mean that, I swear. But it was probably 2018, 2019 that he introduced me to Marvell. And I've followed it ever since. I'm a big believer in the stock. It does custom silicon, and it has really gone all in on AI and has transformed the stock. About a year ago, it became fully profitable. Prior to that, it had plenty of demand, but it had such a backlog. It had issues being able to keep up with said demand, and it was losing money as a result. It has made some changes to its business model, done the custom silicon route, and put all its eggs into the AI basket. And so subsequently, it's done quite well. So that's the stock I've been following. I don't do price targets. The nature of the business that I'm in, we don't do massive amounts of individual stock portfolios. Probably follow, I don't know, 10 names at a time. And I'm really looking at them in terms of long-term trends. I don't trade around earnings either. I did a project many, many years ago at Ariel that showed that trading around earnings is always the outlier in behavior of a stock. It is not actually a good indicator of where the stock is going to go in the intermediate to long term. In fact, if you trade around earnings, you're more likely to get caught up in very short term sentiment that is not reflective of the stock long term. I actually learned through that project that if you wait 30 to 60 days after earnings are reported, so basically 30 days before the next earnings report, that is actually when the stock kind of settles into where it ends up going 2-3 years from then. So I typically try not to trade around earnings because people who trade immediately before or after earnings are usually doing something in a knee-jerk way that's not reflective of the overall trend for the stock in the long term. And that's just something I again personally do because of this project I did a few years ago.
Oxy, OXY, stock that you've been following. Mr. Buffett too. Well, he's not around managing it anymore. I'm sure he has a say in it. He got over $66 when the war started. I guess we could talk about Oxy and oil stocks in general.
Yeah, you got to be careful with oil stocks. You want to make sure that you are looking at oil stocks that have the ability to be positive revenue, profitable at oil prices at 90 to 100, but also at 40 to 50. There are a lot of companies that are only profitable when oil is at 90 to 100, but not 40 to 50. Oxy is not one of them. Oxy, I think, has a lot of really attractive opportunities there, including several acquisitions that they made over the last few years that has put them in a position to ride out volatility in oil prices and commodities in general. Interesting. I know it's not on the list of I sent you, but Southern Copper is another commodity name. I know it's not oil, it's copper, but kind of falls into the same idea of copper and oil are two commodities that have this demand in recent years for different reasons. But volatility to that demand is very much driven by geopolitical events. And there are two names that happen to have found a way to kind of ride out volatility, and they've done a good job, strengthening their balance sheets and their other key cash flows in order to be able to ride out a lot of the volatility in the underlying commodity prices. And I think that those two names in particular in the commodity markets is quite interesting.
All right, we got one more for you.
Okay.
And let me add my chart to the stage. And let's hear your story on Leidos.
Leidos, yes.
Oh boy, that's not a great looking
that
chart
is
there.
that's a wild looking side by side charts right there. So I'm a big fan of Leidos for a lot of reasons. From a long term perspective, as a government contractor, it's not as dependent on war in order to do well. I like to remind people that we started this whole conversation with this whole buy what you know thing. So Leidos is probably the one defense stock that the vast majority of people watching interact with on a regular basis. And you're probably wondering, well, how's that possible? Well, if anybody that's watching this flies or travels via airplane on a regular basis, then you are interacting with Leidos every time you fly, because every time you walk through TSA, you walk through the metal detectors, or you walk through that stupid machine that they make you go through occasionally, where you have the scan that goes around you and you put your stuff through the belt. All of those machines are Leidos machines. Next time you walk through the airport, you won't be able to unsee the Leidos that is all over everything, their logo. So Leidos actually has a tremendous business outside of defense. They also have a really interesting health unit, which I don't think is always appreciated. I think what you're seeing today is Leidos being impacted by the defense aspect of what it does, which is meaningful. But they have a strong CEO, and they are often overlooked. I think anytime you see a trend like this, and again, I'm not a technician, so I don't pay a lot of attention to things like, trend lines and that, but this clearly shows that the stock is today trending upwards, but the long-term trend has been downwards. I think this is a good time to actually buy into the name more than anything. I've owned this name since it was like in the 60s and 70s. So for me, even with the downward trend, I'm riding it out. But I do think that if you are like me and you think about, as we start this conversation, buying what you know, Leidos is the defense stock that every person who travels via air interacts with every time they go through TSA. And I think that that is meaningful in the sense that it is something that has some legs to it beyond defense.
All right, something we'll keep an eye on. Well, thanks for joining us here, Shana Sissel.
And apologize again for the dogs.
The dogs are barking. No,
it's background noise to me. I don't even notice the dogs.
Super annoying. Oh, well, I'm glad, but my Samoyed has the highest pitch, most annoying bark on planet Earth that drives me nuts. So I apologize.
Go take them up,
everyone. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be chatting with you real soon. Thank you, Shana Sissel. All right, Dennis, 8:58 here.
Yeah.
Any ratings catching up.
Well, we talked briefly on the Micron. Let's go into a little more detail here, though, because it's the note of the day here. And I mean, when you have an analyst coming out and raising their price target from $535 to $1,625, you got to jump into the details. And I mean, analysts are buying, or people are just coming in and just buying. They're like, and again, we've been up here. We always say there's no such thing as a triple bottom. There may be no such thing as a triple top. Micron is right up there, bumping its head right against that resistance at 814. Am I chasing it this morning? I'm not sure about that. But on dips here, I think eventually this is breaking out. I think eventually Micron, just the super cycle that we've got going on here, you got to think like eventually it's going to eventually hit $1,000. Analyst commentary, LTA is now firmly in place across most of the industry. We are again raising 2027, 2029 estimates, continue to remain comfortable with our EPS greater than $100 during this time frame, which is crazy to think about. This was trading at $81, and now they're making over $100 a share per year. I believe the market will start to put a more normal multiple on the stock, and Micron will continue to re-rate higher as more details emerge with the structural changes AI has driven to the entire memory complex. Our supply chain work on LTAs across memory industry suggests that up to 30% of DDR volumes industry-wide will be soon locked in at a pricing that is just slightly below current levels, and these agreements will allow Micron to trade some near-term revenue for demand visibility and a smoother earnings profile. Raising their EPS estimates. 2027, 2028, 2029, they're going up to 117, 155, and $167 a share is what they're projecting them to make out by 2029. Like, holy cow. So they're just raising. Obviously going up. They talk about putting an NVIDIA multiple on this thing. I mean, things always trade as a lower multiple because the business has been cyclical. But if this business is no longer cyclical, That's what's happening here. This business, the cyclicality of this business is being challenged here to a certain extent here, and the memory cycle is just booming.
Just of note, it's trading up $62, right near all-time high territory. And I'm just looking at the 9-day average trading range for this, and it's 41 bucks. It's 20 bucks above that. But that's just the average daily range here. Can it go up another 40? Yeah, but I just keep in mind that it's expected move for this today being blown out of the water with the news. So, okay, folks, we're going to wrap it up today on Pre-Market Prep. The Brentzer will be back tomorrow. We'll be talking to Blue Putnam, the chief economist at the Stock Trader Network. We'll be finding what's moving today and what's moving for you tomorrow. Folks, thanks for joining us this morning on Pre-Market Prep.